In today's video, we have two Hoover Turbopower Junior U1220s, one from 1987 and one from 1988. One has been fully refurbished but has a few issues. One is as it was when we filmed the unboxing video a while ago. The aim in this video, don't quite know if this is going to be a two-parter yet. I'll see how long it gets. But we're going to completely strip both of these down. We'll only do one real time. Don't worry, I'm not going to take the mic. And wash it, clean it, polish it. And then put one really good machine back together and one alright machine back together. Might be a part one and a part two, don't know yet. You'll see by the length of this video if I take the mickey or not. And I'll put it in the description. But for now, let's get started. Hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? Yes, there will be one viewer who knows exactly what this is about. Hi Joe. Joe, the chap who sold me the Heritage 2 and lives very close to me, has wanted a Turbopower Junior for ages. Apparently he's never had one. So I thought we could kill two birds with two vacuum cleaners and get Joe a perfectly working, not mint, but certainly a fantastic example, working example, mechanically speaking, of a Hoover Turbopower Junior. And what better way to start than with one of the more common models, the U1220s. These are by far the more common Turbopower Juniors out there. This and the later blue 12346, the blue one with the check bag. This is the earlier one. These were sold everywhere. Very common indeed. So we will need some parts along the way. I broke one of these for spares a fair while ago, so I'm pretty confident I do have all the parts. So we shall make ourselves a little list as we go along with what we need. But before that, we've taken apart, so we will need the machine, a toolbox. But all we will need from this toolbox is, in theory, one crosshead screwdriver, and if I can find my nice one, hello, where are you? Not a nice one. Where's that guy? Oh, this one will do, not so nice one. One flat base screwdriver for poking stuff around and scraping stuff. We'll also need a small flat blade screwdriver for electrical connections. So I've got my little set here because I don't actually know. I do have a nice flat blade screwdriver somewhere, but can't find it. Can't bother to find it. It'll be fine. Oh, I've left it up. A card for some screws. A tub for the non-washable bits. A box for the washable bits, which is here, but it's teeming down with rain outside and it didn't bring it in time, so that can just stay over there on the mat. And a drink, because this might take a while. So I'm going to have to keep you at this quite far away camera angle for now, because we need to take apart, or also going to be damp carpet, because again it's raining and the edge got a little bit wet. So I'm going to get a wet leg for that. We have a pen for poking through the card and writing stuff down. So let's start our screw card with U1220. Now this is going to be identical for any one of these machines. They are all mechanically exactly the same. So if you happen to be following this on any other machine, fair play to you. Don't mind if we do. So first of all, we need to make it a little shorter, don't we? We need to get rid of all of this bit. So we shall start from the top and drop the cable, like so. Now we take the cable off. So we'll do that now. Take the cable off, we remove these two screws here. One at the top and one at the bottom. Like so. I can just put these on the card. Well, this is the switch housing. One, two. The first two screws are done. So once you've done that, that bit just comes off, and take the bag off, and that will just slide up and out the way. And look how filthy that is in there. That's interesting, really. That shouldn't be that filthy. Hey ho. Right. Somebody's been here before. Was it us at the beginning video? I can't actually remember. But never mind, we're going to sort it out now. So we need a small flathead screw driver and basically undo all 4 terminals on the chocolate block. Let's do all 4, it's easier. 1, 2, yeah, this had the mains cable on it at some point, I think. 3, 4, that is all we need that for really, so I'll just put that away before I inevitably kick it over. The next thing we need to undo is this cord clamp here. So I'll unscrew that. Pop that in the screw card, so we have cable clamp. There we go. And cable clamp is brown on this example. I presume they just used whatever they had lying around, so that's not going to focus. I've got the camera zoomed a little bit, but that can go in the box. Now the mains cable will pull off and we can feed the wire out of the cable assembly. They're a pain to get out, don't bother. It's not worth it, just wash the whole thing as one unit. Take the rest of the chocolate block off, and that can go in the non-washables. Then the switch itself pulls out. Take the live terminal off. Might need a little bit of persuasion. There we go. And we have a Hoover Turbopower switch. There we go, it'll focus better now. Like that. And as you see, it just runs through the mains. It breaks the live. Oh, it's even branded Hoover. They must still have been making their own stuff in the 80s. Right, so this bit is now done. So we can turn it around. Oh, you can still see, so I'll leave you there. We need to undo the top handle bolt. There we go. Come on, hang on. There we go. Nice 2-parter. The same as every softbag junior, or Hoover really. That can go in there. Then the handle should lift off and take the cable with it, which is utterly filthy. Now we need to remove the grip from the handle, and we do that by getting the small screwdriver that we've just got rid of and very, very carefully levering this plastic peg up. Now you need to be a bit careful so you don't damage it. But basically, eventually, work around, and it should, in theory, you don't want to damage the paint if you can help it, ow, pop up. Now another thing you can do, if it's being particularly stubborn, is get a pair of snips, very carefully, try and get either side of the head. No, that's not going to do it. This has obviously been in here a long, long time. It doesn't matter if you mash up the plastic peg ever so slightly, I'll be honest, because it will go back in. It's the metal handle you don't want to do too much damage to. There we go. I think we got away with that a little bit. Maybe a blue Sharpie will sort that out, but the peg is now off. Bring you back ever so slightly. That now pulls out of there, so we have the top handle section and the handle grip itself, which can all go in the box for washing. Right, get rid of the cable because that's in the way. Put my little screwdriver away again. Take a drink. And we can take the bag off. Now, there's a paper bag fitted, so we'll have that off. And I'll keep it for now. Although I'll probably end up putting a genuine bag in it. We might even try a bunch of HEPA in it, but for now we'll keep that. And we need to take the bag off. Now, first of all, we need to take the fill tube off. To take the fill tube off, there are 2 screws just at the bottom. We'll take those off, like so. This looks ever so slightly different to the other one. Because the other one has the other one's got a black bottom. This has a brown, so maybe there's a changeover. Hope I'm not going to want to keep both of these eventually because they're different eras. We'll work it out. So there's 2 screws there. These are for the bag fill tube. Poke. Stab. Screw. All my holes aren't quite big enough. Screw. I can already tell this machine's been dabbed because the screws are a little bit rusty. Then once you've done that, the fill tube simply pops off. Like so. There is the fill tube. Pretty much almost exactly the same as the hard bags, except it's not. It is a completely different shape and size. But hey ho. With that off, we need to find 4 more screws which are all buried under here. And the problem with them being buried under here is that they get covered in all the dust and dirt that goes through the bag. So you'll just be able to get the tip of the screwdriver in there to undo them. I'll just rub the heads off a little bit. See, they get full of rubbish. Come on. You get the idea. The heads get full of rubbish. There's also 2 sizes. The top ones that I'm doing now are longer than the ones on the side. So do a bit of archaeology. There it is. God, this is bad. Come on. That one's very full of rubbish. So we'll get a stabby blade and just uncover it a little bit. Just poke out some of the dirt. Yeah, we're going to do a good job. Maybe we get a little brush in there. You just want to clean out the head. Ooh. Blimey. This is being a bit stubborn. I don't want to snap the plastic peg that this will go in. These will sit in plastic pegs. I don't want to be too brutal about it. Let me try another screwdriver. Let's try a slightly smaller one just in case it digs in a bit better. Oh, no chance there. Uh-oh. We've had our first fail. Ah! No, we are not. This one is okay. There we go. And be very careful because you want to be able to reuse the screws because you can wash and clean the heads out on them. That's okay. There we go. Look, there's a little fella that was causing all the trouble. And then one at the back which is equally full of gunk but will turn. There we go. This has had a fair few bag failures in the years, I think. Then once you've done that, the whole thing lifts off to uncover some utter grot. So we can card up the screws. So we have bag base. Like I say, don't forget they're different sizes because the top ones have to go through these metal brackets that hold the handle on. So something to bear in mind. 3. Now this one Again, there's been a part before because three of the screws are you can't see it. Three of the screws are the same length, but doesn't seem to have done much damage. Right, so we'll pop that there. The bottom, the plastic bottom, just pulls out of the bag like so, getting dirt everywhere. These two green brackets that provide the bite, if you will, the thread for the screws pop out, and you just want to get all the gunk out as best you can. Do it now while you're getting everything else dirty. Certainly don't do it once you've washed everything and you've already vacuumed or you're putting it back together again. God, these are full of rubbish. There we go. That'll do. We also want this part. Get the worst of the gunk out. It's all stuck. It all compacts over the years. I mean, this is older than me actually. I was born in September '87. This is June. Now there is a little crack there, but that's going to be fine. Oh, and there. So we need to do some gluing. That's not the end of the world. Now what we don't need is this bag, because I have another bag, a proper bag in the shed. So that could be the start of the rubbish pile. Right. Now, this one hasn't got it. And again, I've got a spare. We would have to take the vanity cover off, but we don't have to here. But basically, you need to be ever so careful and lever it off gently, because they do snap. And they are unobtainium. You have to get another machine. Then you can reach the bottom, well, you can reach the bottom bolt anyway, but you can't take it out because the cover stops the screw from coming out the front. So we have just another one of those double bolts that can go there. This bracket falls off. And again, we'll give it a little bit of a brush off while we got the dirt out. There we go. Like so. So there's one side of the bracket. The other side is still screwed in, so we'll leave that. Pull the cable out of this handle. Now this is already half broken, so we'll do it anyway. There's a little tab on either side. Push the tab gently in, and in theory, if I get the right pair of pliers, again, that being broken really isn't the end of the world, because the screw clamps it all together anyway. I'm just being pernickety. Here we go. We have the base. I think we can zoom in a little bit now and get down to the real business. This is where it's going to get messy. Here we go. Hopefully you can see it. I have Mr. Hoover sending me obscene dirty messages via Messenger. We shall carry on. So now we need to remove the other screws that hold pretty much the brackets that support the trunnion. And I'm really hoping that this trunnion isn't cracked, because if it is game over. I don't think it is. And if it's slightly cracked, we can sort it out. Now you'll notice here that there is a diode that screws on to the screw. Bear that in mind. Just card these up. This is the Trunnion brace, we'll call that. There we go. Now hopefully this won't be cracked. They rust out. Again, you can. I'll have some spare somewhere if it has. But this one's okay. They rust out on the corners there. So that's the metal work off of there. You can see it is again utterly disgusting. In here even more so. There's compacted dirt. This is a very unlucky machine. But we'll worry about later, because for now I can't make it go flat. It's jammed somehow. we're not going to mess around with that. We're going to turn it around and very gently lever off the height adjuster knob and turn the machine around to look at its sweet, sweet underbelly. We have force. Oh, that's why it's catching. The bellows are a little bit screw with. So, undo the 4 screws that hold the base plate on. 2, 3, 4. Base plate. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 2, 3, 4. Marvellous. And we can lift the base plate up and admire the filth and Christmas tree pine needles. We'll scrape the... Oh gosh, look at that. Crikey. We'll scrape the worst of that off here on the back because that will never come off in the wash. I'll just end up going over it in layers. It'll take me all day, so we'll scrape the worst off. There we go. This has been used to vacuum up some damp, I think. Judging by this, I don't know where George got it from. But who cares? We can sort that out nice and simply indeed. There we go, that's a bit better. That'll come off with a good scrub. So we have a very nice base plate. This is an earlier base plate because again, I think on the other one there's a brace that sits there because I think a lot of these got smashed. If you ram the front, it will just crack and split down a bit. This one hasn't, but is fine. So that can go in there. Right. We can now lift up the brush roll. I need to look back through the video and see how old this belt is. Can't remember, did we put the belt on? Can't get it off now. I think we might have done, because it seems okay. I'll compare it to a new belt and we'll see what the crack is. Now if I bring you closer, a bit too close, we can have a look at the brush roll, which barely spins. I'll be honest, I don't think this is a genuine brush roll because it's blue. So we'll see if we can spot any supporting evidence as to whether it's original or not. But for now we take off one of the end caps, which is, as usual, full of rubbish. There we go. I'm just going to start piling stuff up, I think, for now. In fact, the box is probably a bit dry now. Let me just bin the parts box so I can stop lobbing stuff all the way across the room. There we go. Now the other side, it just pulls out because we've undone one side. So we have the axle, which is a little bit rusty. Well, actually not too bad. And the other end cap. Now I've taken the other end cap off. Find something suitable to grip the shank and just twist off there like so. Already we can see the bottom wobble washer. All this is missing its plastic cap. Where's the... oh, hang on. Oh, it's there. Yeah, baby, losing track now. This is missing the felt washer. But we have the main components. We have a truly knackered brush roll bearing, the spacer washer, and the end cap itself, which has a load of crud around the end. So we'll pick that off. And again, just brush the worst off, like so. And now we have the brush roll itself. Again, we'll get the worst off. There's no point in washing rubbish. Saying, oh, I wash rubbish all the time, you see it on my channel. But I'm not washing bits of string, that's a step too far. Yeah, definitely not a genuine brush roll, but I'll be honest, it's perfectly serviceable. Now, as you might tell, obviously this side is still in. Take the screwdriver. This one's going to be too big. Oh, blimey. I need a thinner one, because you need to get an edge of the end cap and twist up. There we go, one side, two side, and the end caps come out. Now I'm hoping that this is just going to push out and not need hammering out. Yes, it is, fantastic. On the older metal ones, they seize right in. In fact, I think I've probably shown you that before. So we have got that one's pretty much exactly, oh yeah, fully seized up. Oh look, and there's the remains of the plastic end caps that these should have. And there is the bearing holder itself. We'll do the other side. There we go. And one disgustingly filthy brush roll. All of that can go in the wash. Fantastic. Right. Now we can pop the hood. And there is a screw in this bit and a screw in this bit. And this is what's broken on my other one. The posts snapped and I glued them up. So I'm hoping, and this hood's not quite as faded, so I'm certainly hoping to get the hood from it. And that done, turn it over. You'll need to recline the machine. Oh my lord. And the hood will lift off and reveal a pristine motor and some history. Someone's been here before in 1998. I think you can quite see that. 28th of January 1998. Somebody came in here last. I wonder what they did. Rub the grab off of the screws and park these under hood screws. Poke, poke. There we go. Marvellous. So yeah, I wonder what it had. Maybe that was when it had the brush roll, who knows. So here is the hood. I can now finally show you the serial number, which says April 1987. And we can put that to one side for washing. Now, next thing we're going to take off is this bit, because this is annoying me. So to start with, unplug the two wires that go to the suppressor plug. Check there's no massive spider hiding in that big cobweb. Nope. And we need to undo the two screws that sit either side on the pivot point. So again, these are covered in crap. And there's one. Lovely. And the other one, we'll find out in a second why this isn't moving anymore. I do think it's just because the bellows are caught, which would be utterly beautiful if it was, because it means that it's not actually an issue. We can sort that out when we refit the bellows. There we go. And two. So we'll pop these down as pivot points. Poke, 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 poke. There we go. Lovely. Then when that's done, we need to poke the bellows through there, and the whole thing should simply lift off. Like so. So I'll put that to one side. We've got the two metal brackets that hold the whole thing on. So we'll give those a bit of a dust off to uncover them again. go. They can go in there. This part here is the part that makes the recline mechanism work. It's been oiled before, which is why that bit's full of crap. We do have to put a drop of grease on them though. So there's that bit there. Then you can push the wires through and out to get the last of the mains wiring out and tip out any accumulated muck from there. Now this is a good time to inspect the trunnion just to make sure it's not cracked, because they snap that bit completely off. That bit's under so much pressure, especially on the hard bag mid-tools model, and I've seen that bit snap as well. But this one is superb. Never, ever, 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 ever try and take the lower cord hook off, because they are a complete sod to get back on. I've destroyed machines doing it. Just don't bother. Just wash the whole thing as it is, like that. Oh, right. How are we doing? Now we can take the motor out. And the motor in these, if you've seen my other turbo power video, the boost that I did for Mr. Steve Green, from here on in, it is utterly identical. You can swap these bottom bits for any of the machines, so it doesn't matter for now. So we'll pop through it a little bit quickly. We'll take off the motor retaining ring, motor clamp, poke. Why is my phone doing things? Oh, nobody wants me. Excellent, how I like it. So one there, one there. We'll take the motor clamp off and lift out the motor itself and its two rubber mounts. I'll pop that. Oh, that's pretty dry bearing wise. We'll come to that in a minute. Now this sponge, although it's on there quite well, is coming off, because it harbours so much filth. It's easier to take it off, wash it, and then I don't always even stick it back down. Just wedging it under the motor is good enough. It's only to stop the vibration, I think, but it's so much nicer to wash it and wash around it without having it there. Now the belt's fallen off. That looks quite worn to me. I honestly can't remember what we did to it, so I'll leave it there for replacement. The recline pedal should just poke out. You want it and its spring. That's in perfectly serviceable order. The height adjustment simply clips off at the top, and underneath just release the metal retaining spring like so. There it is, and lift this off. Now I never take these apart because those are horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. That is the stepper for the height control. This is the belt guard. Comes out. The furniture guard just lifts off at this point. And now we can see if we can take the wheels off. Because you can't always. If they've got a nice little circlip, we can. If they've got, aha, they have a nice little circlip. Now again, these have been off before, because this is missing one of the retaining lugs. Not a massive problem, because you can just glue these on, as long as you don't intend to have them off again. Now the other easy way of doing it is to, from behind, poke the retaining tabs out, and off it comes, and then they're held on by a little tiny circlip that you simply push off with a screwdriver, and then the whole thing lifts out like so. Then the axle drops from behind. Put the washers back on the axle with the circlip so you don't lose it, because that would be annoying, wouldn't it? Again, I've done that before, especially outside in the garden. Now this wheel is lovely, not cracked. Good luck finding a wheel that's not from a scrapper machine. Every time I've had them going begging from spares machines, they've gone in seconds. There we go. So I'll pop that there, pop that there, pop this here. And we have the other wheel, which is also in super order. So now we've got the wheel off, we can just get rid of some of the big bits of crap so they can be vacuumed up rather than getting in the way when we wash the thing in a minute. Well, I wash the thing in a minute, you won't be washing it, will you? There we go. More grab there. And that is the chassis apart in all of its naked glory. I don't know if it's had a new chassis, you know. I'm slightly intrigued as to what that sticker is, but it could have been anything. It could have changed the belt and thought, oh, I'll put a sticker on that. In 10 years' time, somebody will wonder what happened. They will. Right, let me zoom you in a little bit, and we'll get this motor apart. And that's before we start off with some destruction. Snip. And then after that destruction, we can prise the disgusting bellows off. Again, because this machine has been used for damp, the bellows are going to be full of disgustingness. They are not split, which is good. So they will wash up quite nicely. But if you squeeze them, it cracks all the dirt off. So it's a bit easier to wash. Crikey, look at that. Right. Now that's done, we can remove the clips that hold the fan case on. One, again, quite surface rusty. 2, 3. There's only ever 3 on these, so don't panic that you're missing one. There's always 3, but there's space for 4. I do sometimes put a 4th one on, if I have spares. Then we can take the fan cover off, like so. I'll just run a flat blade screwdriver around, like so. There we go. And we have the motor unit itself with its slightly tuned but acceptable fan. Nothing wrong with that at all. Now, this is a different motor because sometimes these have lots and lots of wires. This has an inbuilt carbon brush holder loom. So I'm just going to take a picture of roughly where these two go, just so that when we put it back together, when I put it back together, you ain't putting it back together, I know what the heck I was doing. There we go. Then we can just pull the wires off. Nice and simple. Pull the wires off. Then we'll have the suppressor out. These are the safe kind of suppressors. I've never had one of these explode. I don't think I've ever heard of one exploding. So don't feel you have to take it out. There is no need at all. This has got Hoover written on it as well. I am impressed, Hoover. There we go. Now we put a flat blade screwdriver into the slot at the end of the belt spindle and spin off the fan. There it is. There's your Hoover Junior fan in all of its glory. There is more under the fan, but we can't get to that now. What we need to do now is get our screwdriver and undo the motor itself. Sometimes these are flat blade. In this instance they are crosshead. Really doesn't make a difference at all. Again, I think the earlier ones did have a flat blade and the later ones had a crosshead. So the fact that these are crosshead probably makes me think it's had a motor in it. It's too filthy to tell at the minute. I can't even remember if the motors have Hoover stamps on them. But if it does, we shall find out. But not at the minute, because it's just too filthy to do it. Far too filthy. There we go. Then once that's done, in theory, one way or another, the motor comes out, which cracks off the 2 fan spacer washers and reveals the armature, which simply pops out. Gosh, that's seized. I've never had that internal metal bush come out before. Blimey. Don't quite know. I might have to wait until I pull the bearings off. I don't think I've got my bearing puller on me. It's in my other toolbox. So for now, I'll leave that on. We are changing the bearing. So it also shows the rubbish that can collect up on the back of these cooling fans. Now, you can take the cooling fans off, although I can't at the minute because you need to have the bearing off. But all you've got to do is basically just screwdriver it all off. If you loosen it, put it all back, get it all away from the inner. Again, I've seen these completely covered so badly that you can't see the fins, and they sound terrible because it makes them run off balance. You know, well, I've shown you on Miele's when the motor fan fills up with rubbish and it makes it sound terrible. This is pretty much the same, but on these motors. There we go. And then once that's off, you can pretty much just pick it, poke it off, and that will get the worst off. I'll have to wash this. I won't even wash it, to be honest, because that's good enough. That's all the dirt off of there. So I can't do much now until I can get the bearing puller off. The armature is, the comm even is borderline. I'll be honest, it ran fine, so that will do. These bits come out. The washer and that provides the tension, they always come out. It is a genuine Hoover motor, because there is the Hoover roundel. There's a fibre washer as well. There's the Hoover roundel on there somewhere. Oh, they haven't screw carded this motor housing. There we go, 2, 3, 4. I think these are the last screws as well, which is marvellous. There we go. So now that's done, we can pull off the coil, the disgusting field coil. We'll give this a little bit of a brush off. Can't really do much else to it, so it's going to have to stay as it is. Again, bits of surface rust is fine, it's just all the fluff and detritus that you want off of it. Yeah. There we go. That'll do. That will do. Much better. Bit surface rusty, but that's fine. Now we'll take the carbon brushes out in reverse for now. Oh, these are genuine Hoover carbons as well, so that's not too bad. Plenty of meat left on those. For years and years and years they will. Then to take the actual brush holders out, move forward a bit, you push down on this back tab here and then sort of push the whole thing out and it pulls out. So there's one carbon brush holder. Here is the other. And if you do what I've just done and accidentally push the clip too far, just push it back out. There we go. Now this would have had a sticky carbon issue at some point. soon, like that 1334A Junior that I have. Now, the last thing to come out is the fan case bearing, which is the one that's more knackered than the other one. And you have to be a bit brutal here and prise this metal spring out. Now it will, like this one has, snap, but that is fine. You can get away with that because it still goes back in. We'll push the bearing out. Have a very dry, very disgusting 608Z. We shall scrape the locating hole, if you will, for the fan case out. And we are done. Everything is apart. So now all we have to do is clean up a little bit and take the other one apart. And just because it's here, we'll use the V6 to clean up. It's got the stringy bits up. I've overshot the mat. And that's the battery depth. I think Amy's been using it full on one side, but empty on the other flipping thing. Right. Enough of that, let's get the other one apart.